All right, so obviously you guys have heard about XRP and HBAR being like huge winners in the space. But I feel like a lot of these projects that people are holding, I feel like they're overlooking one big name in the space, and that's Quant. QNT and XRP combined with all of these other projects, obviously, but QNT is the target. Everyone needs to focus on QNT, especially even if you hold XRP. We're going to be talking about this. Welcome to the channel, everyone. My name is Nick. For those that are new to the channel, hopefully by the end of this video, you do become a subscriber. And also, if you're not following me on all social media platforms, guys, go down in the description below right now and follow me on all social media platforms to stay up to date on everything crypto. And join the free Discord. 6,000 plus members in that Discord. A ton of free information. What are you guys waiting for? Go and join it now. And with that in mind, let's talk about a few things. May 7th of this year, JP Morgan explains why it prefers a unified ledger over a public blockchain for tokenization. Well, JP Morgan is looking at unified ledgers, but what they are completely forgetting when it comes to public blockchains is that even with the unified ledger, public blockchains will be plugged into it. How do we know this? Well, it's because of Quant. That's right. Even though, as we look at this, we have last year, the BIS, the Bank of International Settlements, introduced its concept of a unified ledger that would support central bank money, tokenized deposits, and digital assets on the same network. Using a common tokenization infrastructure eliminates the need for transaction messaging and associated inefficiencies and supports programmability. Okay, this is very interesting. So as we look at this, even though it is a unified ledger, something like, for an example, RLN, which is a regulated liability network, Project Enbridge, or even Singapore's Global Layer 1, what everyone is missing here is how public blockchains actually work within these unified ledgers. These unified ledgers are silos. They are walled gardens that still need to be bridged to other networks, other currencies that are on other networks. Like, all of this is adding fragmentation. So as we think about that, let's go over here to this post by Quant Network. A unified programmable ledger could unleash an explosion of innovation in payments and money comparable to the arrival of the smartphone. This is the general manager of the BIS, Augustin Carstens. Now, if we go over here, we have BIS chief floats unified programmable ledger to turbocharge payments innovation. And I went and summarized this with ChatGPT. We have the BIS and central banks are developing innovations such as CBDCs and tokenized assets. Carstens, in a speech at the Monetary Authority of Singapore, highlighted the need for a unified ledger to fully harness these technologies' potential. So wait a second. As we think about this, tokenized assets, CBDCs, well, if CBDCs and tokenized assets are going to be issued out on other, networks, DLTs, blockchains, and they're going to be plugged into the unified ledger, well, now you have public blockchains being plugged into this unified ledger. So JP Morgan is actually wrong when it says that it prefers a unified ledger. Sure, they might be building on a unified ledger or tokenizing on the unified ledger, but it's still going to be tokenized on a blockchain, on some type of blockchain. Now, within this, we have this ledger would integrate the monetary system with various financial and real asset registries, functioning as a public-private partnership with the central bank, ensuring trust in money. Unlike smartphone platforms, this open architecture ledger promotes financial inclusion and competition. It supports smart contracts and composability, automating transactions and reducing the need for intermediaries, allowing for near-instant payments and settlement. Carstens gave an example of automating escrow in-house buying via smart contracts. He criticized stablecoins, questioning their ability to function as money due to lack of regulatory support and central bank backing. He concluded that CBDCs and tokenized deposits on a unified ledger would spur further private sector innovation. Now over here, we have the blueprint for the future monetary system, improving the old, enabling the new. And this was from June 2023, where we have the key takeaways here. Tokenization of money and assets has great potential, but initiatives to date have taken place in silos without access to central bank money and the foundation of trust it provides. A new type of financial market infrastructure, a unified ledger, could capture the full benefits of tokenization by combining central bank money, tokenized deposits, and tokenized assets on a programmable platform, as well as improving existing processes through the seamless integration of transactions. A unified ledger could harness programmability to ensure arrangements that are currently not practicable, thereby expanding the universe of possible economic outcomes. And multiple ledgers, each with specific use cases, might coexist. Oh, here we have the end goal. Multiple ledgers, interlinked by application programming interfaces, APIs, to ensure interoperability as well as promote financial inclusion and a level playing field. Oh, you gotta love that. A level playing field. Lovely quote there. If you hold XRP, you know about it. Then we have the future of the monetary system. Now, this is the Finternet, essentially. This was from November 2023. Now, they didn't really mention too much about the Finternet at this time. It was not a full-on thing. We got the Finternet recently from the BIS, but this was the future monetary system from vision to reality. Now, this breaks it fully down. They even bring up artificial intelligence. They bring up DLT, things like that. They fully break down connectivity around cross-border payments and stuff like that. Now, the main thing that I really wanted to take from this entire article, the entire breakdown of this, is the fact that they were still fully focused on CBDCs. The whole case here is CBDCs, specifically around the regulated liability network, which is a proof of concept. Now, this is where Qnt steps in. Back in April of this year, R3 and Qnt were selected as technology providers for the UK's regulated liability network. Now, this is involving some very large names like Citi, Barclays, HSBC, and so forth. Some of these names, by the way, already utilizing Ripple technology. But the number one thing to focus on is not so much, all right, let's connect the dots here to other players. No, more so, let's actually break down how all of this will work for players like the XRP Ledger, Hedera, and so forth. Because all of this can't be a closed, it can't be a walled garden. It can't be closed off. We still need everything to connect. Over here, we have the need for a neutral asset, an XRP, in the XRP Ledger by David Schwartz. But the XRP Ledger can't handle all the world's payments, but XRP can be the hub or backbone that provides the fast international settlement piece. Big shout to XRP Drops for this. It can't just be one network. It has to be based on bridges, not on walls. Again, walled gardens are not going to work. In fact, every single time that a walled garden has launched, it has failed. Qnt is great for interoperability between central banks or closed gardens, if you will, to public networks. So when we even look at the unified ledger, the only way that this unified ledger is going to work is by having interconnectedness with the public sector, with public networks, DLTs, things like that. It needs that. If it can't integrate with all of these other public chains and public blockchains in general, it's going to fail. That's why we look at what is even happening around XRP and the XRP Ledger. We have here that XRP Ledger was purpose-built for transacting both in a native neutral asset XRP and also in issued assets to bridge to CBDCs, stablecoins, other payment networks, and other kinds of assets. The XRP Ledger can't handle all the world's payments, but XRP can be the hub of or backbone that provides the fast international settlement piece. And here you actually have that full breakdown of XRP and why, as we really look at what's going on here, one network is not going to be the solution. Even that unified ledger that is going to connect to all other different ledgers, because they even give that out in the blueprint for the future monetary system, multiple ledgers are going to be the key. That's where we really kind of look at how this space is evolving. Even over here from JP Morgan and Circle on the unified ledger by the Bank for International Settlements at the BIS Innovation Summit 2024, on the one hand, the unified ledger is absolutely necessary because a failed transaction via Ethereum is not legally negotiable. But on the other hand, the unified ledger doesn't take into account the need for neutrality. David Schwartz has already addressed the problem years ago and therefore rightly calls for the need for a neutral asset like XRP. Yeah, because as we really look at what's going on here, the unified ledger still needs some type of neutral asset. It has to be able to bridge. There needs to be bridges here. because it can't be closed off. It can't be a walled garden. Check this out.
John from the Cambridge Center for Alternative Finance. So the concept of unified ledger has been mentioned several times. Unified ledger include and why? Thank you.
So I think, first of all, because Mr. Carson is sort of the, the resident host as well, sort of from the country, we have to like unified ledgers. But in all honesty, I think you almost need something like that. I mean, it's actually almost a necessity, because if you look at the public, and I'm sure this is one Dante and I will disagree on, but if you look at the public blockchain ledgers, they are not fit for purpose for large transactions today. And I'll tell you why. Let's say we were doing a transaction worth $100 million, and we were sending money, 100 million, let's say ourselves and UBS, just making it up, the two banks. If we are sending 100 million to UBS on Ethereum, there are validators who are validating the transaction. Now, what if something goes wrong? Who do I sue? I mean, you can trust in code all you want, but you can't really go to, there's no code court where you go and really have a discussion. And you need those sorts of backups. If someone loses your court, but you still have the ticket, you want to be able to call someone at the end of the day saying, what the hell, you lost a very expensive court. So I think at this point, maybe public infrastructure will get there one day with things like verifiable credentials, but that path is far away. And you need to get somewhere where people can do trusted transactions between financial institutions with some sort of accountability in the system. Whether that happens through unified ledgers or otherwise, it remains to be seen. But frankly, unified ledgers, RLN, Mbridge, they're all trying to do this. Frankly, we have another project going on called Global Layer 1 at the MAS with Citibank and others. So they're all sort of shades of the same thing, which is you need some sort of a regulated financial infrastructure, and that financial infrastructure should be open to public institutions like central banks, should be open to private institutions like banks or non-banks. I mean, it should be the world's global layer for money movement. Otherwise, you just will always be in this thought process of being in silos. Not to mention, I think all these silos have native tokens, and I won't even go there. That's a whole different issue as well.
So I have to start with a small joke, which is that it looks and feels a little bit like Libra.
I think you should stop mentioning Libra.
Look, I figured I'm going to own it. I'm teasing. But now the serious comment, of course, is that the idea makes a lot of sense. But in my humble opinion, I think oftentimes we're going for marginal improvements on things that already have all kinds of institutional advantages. And the only reason you don't move money any faster, arguably, is either because of a lack of will or because it's a pathway for monetizing speed. Speed in the banking system is a premium service. I pay people to get out of money faster, but I still can't execute a transaction on nights and weekends and in bank holidays. The other thing that a unified ledger conversation almost entirely ignores is geopolitics. You don't weaponize a currency, you weaponize the rails on which currencies ride. And I think all too often, while the central banks are doing really the Lord's work in figuring out how to modernize payment systems and money, the geopolitical reality is cross-border payments integration of this kind is often a line too far for national security interests. And that's the unfortunate piece of the puzzle.
And again, I love the fact that he did bring up Libra, because Libra failed. Brad Garlinghouse from Ripple said, it's a walled garden. It's not going to succeed. And he was right. If we take a look at this unified ledger, it's great on paper. Having a name like Qnt tied to, the unified ledger, which I do believe that they will be. They were tied back to Project Rosalind, which was similar to a unified ledger. And even RLN is very similar to a unified ledger. Remember what Qnt over Ledger does. It connects to ledgers like the Xrp Ledger, it connects to XDC, it connects to these public blockchains, and it allows them to interconnect with walled gardens, or in this case, a unified ledger. That's why I say Qnt is a major target for me. I love to look at Qnt. I love to talk about Qnt because I do believe that this is going to be the enabler of basically anything that these central bankers want to do. And it will also allow central banks specifically to utilize public blockchains through a private infrastructure layer, like a unified ledger. The unified ledger is not going to succeed. It's just not going to succeed if it cannot connect to these public blockchains. Even over here, the path to unified ledgers by the Bank of International Settlements. The idea of a single platform and network of ledgers providing the means for the seamless and instant settlement of many financial and non-financial assets versus tokenized cash uncertainty is certainly attractive in its promise. Again, this is a network of ledgers that will all have to be interconnected. That's where we look at interoperability layers. Qnt's overledger is an interoperability layer that can connect public ledgers to private ledger technology. That's how I envision all of this coming to reality. Qnt needs to be focused on. Qnt and Xrp have a place in this game. Xrp as a neutral asset is so valuable in my opinion. So many people overlook on how big that decentralized and neutral bridge currency really is, especially in a world where we are really kind of headed towards. So in my opinion, Qnt, Xrp are going to be extremely valuable in this. And I do think that they can complement each other in a very large way. Same with even HBAR, XLM, XDC, they could all fit into this play as well. So with that being said, if you guys enjoyed this video, if you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe to notifications on because more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord down in the description below. And with that being said, guys, it's been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.